Today I am going to explain you the subject called estimation, costing and valuation. Estimation, costing and valuation. So what is meant by estimation? What is meant by estimation? It is nothing but determination of any project cost. Determination of any project cost before its commencement. Before its commencement. Why we need to know the cost of any project before its commencement? Because whether the financial resources available with us are sufficient or not, to understand whether the financial preparedness is there or not. So to evaluate the financial preparedness, we need to know what is the estimated value of that work. So the reason why we do estimation is to get to know how much is the value of the work. Okay, so it is the process of determination. It is the determination of value of the work, value of any work before of its commencement. Before of its commencement. So before the commencement, so how much resources are needed? To understand that, we need to know the estimation value. Okay. Now, generally, what are the basic necessities? Basic data needed. Basic data needed for preparation of an estimate, for preparing an estimate. See, what are the basic data needed for preparing an estimate? See, basic data means without this data we cannot do the estimate. What is that? The first and foremost is the drawings. So drawings means the plan, elevation and cross sections. So the plan, elevation, cross section of various structural components of the project should be known. Without that, we cannot identify how much quantity of the concrete is needed, how much quantity of earthwork is needed. All these things are related to the drawings and sections. Okay, so without knowing this, we cannot find the quantities of any structural component. Okay, drawings are needed for various structural components of the project and second is specifications. What is meant by specifications? See, specifications means sometimes you may have a specific requirements, you may have some specific constraints. So that is nothing but specifications. Specifications in terms of, it may be in terms of workmanship, or it may be in terms of degree of quality control, and it may be in terms of properties of material and Properties of material. Properties of material. So these are the specifications. These are the specifications needed. Without these specifications, we cannot do any kind of project. Okay. So now after that, most important thing is standard schedule of rates. Standard schedule. Standard schedule of rates of the current year. Of the current year. Of the current year. We will discuss this, what is under this current year, what is under schedule of rates and all. You might have some basic knowledge, but we will discuss it in a very detailed manner in the coming topics. So the basic needed data, three basic data which is needed is, first one is the specifications of the project. Sorry, first one is the drawings of the work, drawings of the different components of the work. So for getting the quantities, of the work. And next is specifications. What is the degree of quality control there? What kind of workmanship you are having? That means what is the skillness of your supervisor? What is the skillness of the laborer you are having? What is the skillness of the engineer you are having? So are you already, if you have tackled the kind of work, if it is already tackled by you, the kind of work, then you might be a skilled one. That if you are tackling that kind of work for the first time, then you might not be the skilled person. So if you are not using a skilled person, then the workmanship will be poor. If you are using a very skilled labor, skilled personnel for looking after the work, then the workmanship is very good. Okay. Similarly, degree of quality control too, it can be poor, it can be moderate, it can be good also. Properties of material, sometimes you might not have a natural sand with you. At that point of time, you need to go with artificial sand. So that is a material constraint. So material, sometimes depending upon the location, sometimes the material may not be available. So likewise, there will be some specifications for a particular work. It changes from work to work. It may not be same for every work. The specifications changes from work to work. And next is standard schedule of rates. See, once you get the quantity of the work, that will not give you the rate of the work. That will not give you the cost of the work. So quantity must be multiplied with the rate. Quantity must be multiplied with the rate. So that rate we get it from the standard schedule of rates issued by the government. Okay, concerned government. So for every year they changes. So that rates you need to know. So that is unit rate. So once you know the unit rate, you know the quantity, you know the specifications, then you can find multiply the quantity with this rate, unit rate, then you will get the total cost of the particular component. Sum of the cost of all the components is nothing but the cost of the project. Okay. Now, so this is a basic data needed for preparing an estimate. Okay. Now, next is why this estimate is needed. Why the estimate is needed. Why the estimate is needed. Why the estimate is needed. So I will tell you many reasons for this. First is to give an idea. About the cost of the work. So whether we are having sufficient income or not for taking that work, that we will understand. The estimate will give you an idea about the cost of the work. And to give an idea about the time. To give an idea about the time needed for the completion of work. For the completion of work. So what is the time needed for the completion of work? It will give a rough idea how much time is needed, whether it is needed 6 months, whether it needs 1 year time, so that you will understand once you have the estimate. Okay, and also to call tenders. To call tenders, you need a how much for what value you will call the tender. If you see the tender notices in your newspapers or e-procurement website, there they will for any tender there will be a price quoted by the government. So what price that government will quote, or what price that a client will quote. So how he arrives that price, that is because of the estimate. So for understanding, for a contractor to understand the work, or for a client to ask for any contractor to do the work, only way of understanding is how much amount is needed. The basic idea about the project is given by the estimate. Okay, that is where estimate is needed. And also to establish a comparison and control over the actual expenditure by using theoretical expenditure means what? That is estimate. Before doing work we are preparing an estimate, right? So that is theoretical. Theoretical expenditure arrived from an estimate. Okay. So here, what we are doing? So to establish, that means theoretically you think that this work can be done with this much money. So theoretical calculation of expenditure is nothing but estimate. So you need to compare it with the real-time expenditure. So for comparison, for establishing a benchmark of expenditure. So if, for example, you thought that the work is completed by using 10 rupees of money, but in reality you are using 30 rupees. So okay, you are estimating it for 10 rupees, there may be some error of 5% or 10%. That means it should go up to 11 rupees or 12 rupees. If it is going to 30 rupees, means you are completely deviating from the theoretical value. That means you are expending more. That means without knowing that the work is needed only 10 rupees, how can you control the revenue? You have a calculation that the work, you have a paper calculation that the work only needs 10 rupees. If you don't have this paper calculation and you spend 30 rupees without knowing that how much needs to be spent, you are not having any idea, you simply blindly investing money without knowing the theoretical expenditure value, then what happens at the end of the day? You end up with losses. You are putting more money which is not required without knowing the exact money needed. So that is why to establish a comparison whether you are spending more money with respect to the actual money, with respect to theoretical money or not. For establishing the comparison, you need a theoretical value. And also, if you are overruling, if you are going beyond a theoretical value, then you need to control it and bring back to the original value of theoretical value. For bringing back to the original value also, we need to know what is the original value, what is the theoretical value. So for those both purposes, we need an estimate. Okay. And also, to decide whether the work can be tackled, at a time or not. See, for example, see, when you are doing a mega projects, it needs lot of money. For example, you have estimated for a work of interlinking of Ganga and Yamuna. You have made an estimate of interlinking Ganga and Yamuna. So now what you have understood, so it needs an amount of 7,000 crores. You have arrived that it needs an amount of 7,000 crores. Now later on you have realized that 7,000 crore At this point of time, the government cannot bear 7,000 crores of rupees. So that is why what we will do? What we do generally? What we do? We will take it. We will take that work in two phases. We will take that work in two phases. Phase one, 3,500 crores with phase one, and 3,500 crores with phase two. Likewise, we can take that work in two phases. So that means, how can we assess that the project cannot be taken in a single phase without knowing the cost of the work? Without knowing the cost of the work, we cannot estimate that that project can be taken in a single stage, or two phases are needed. So all these things, that means that is to decide whether the work can be tackled at a time or not. Sometimes what we will do, we will, if you are having 3,500 crore revenue right now, then you will opt for a phase one, and once it is completed, then we will go for a phase two. So likewise depending upon the revenue, so then you can go. That means all these things can be planned only when you are having a value of estimated value, isn't it? Estimated cost of that work. Okay, now these are the requirements why we need an estimate. This is the points by which we can say that an estimate is needed. An estimate is needed for big projects. Okay, now stages of estimate. What are the different stages of estimating? Stages, or a sequence of estimate, a step-by-step process of estimate, whatever it may be. Step by step process of an estimate. See, whenever you prepare any estimate, first thing you need to do is you need to prepare the data. First thing is you need to prepare a data. So how to prepare a data? First, you need to know what are the items are present in your estimate. We need to know what are the items. So once you are having a drawing with you, then using the drawing, you can prepare a detailed estimate. So now, using drawings, we prepare a detailed estimate. So you will prepare a detailed estimate. Now, once the detailed estimate is over, we will prepare a data. We will discuss this: what is data, what is detailed estimate, what is an abstract estimate, what is a lead statement. So whatever the points to be covered in the preparation of estimate, I will tell you each and everything by taking an example estimate, okay, by showing a sample estimate. So once a detailed estimate is over, I will go for a data. Where in data I will find out the unit price or unit rate of each component. This is nothing but unit rate of each component. Once I know the unit rate of each component, then I will prepare an abstract. Abstract is nothing but, from here I will get the quantity. Detailed estimate, from detailed estimate I will get the quantity. From data I will get the rate. So in abstract, so quantity versus rate. This is quantity versus rate. Okay, quantity versus rate. This is abstract. So this is the basic step-by-step process of getting. So in this abstract, we will get the total cost of the project. In this abstract, you will get this total cost of the project. We will get it here. Okay. Now, this is the basic step-by-step process of preparing an estimate. The basic. Okay. Now, so data required. I have told you what is the data required. Data required for an estimate is drawings, specifications, and rate. With these three, we can make a rough estimate. Okay, we can make a rough estimate. Okay. So what are drawings and all, you might know. I have already explained you what are the specifications in detail. Specifications is nothing but it may be workmanship, it may be material, or it may be degree of quality control. All those things are comes under specifications. Okay. Now, 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 how to take an estimate? If you see a complete estimate, that means when you are looking at the full estimate, generally we divide the estimate into various subcategories. We divide the estimate into various subcategories. For example, if you take an estimate, if you take an estimate, so if you're taking a complete detailed project estimate or a report, we call this DPR. You might have heard this term many times, DPR. For any project, for any government project, for any private project, for big projects, they used to call a term called DPR. DPR means detailed project report. Detailed project report. It includes of many things. See, A, preliminaries. These are all subheads. In this estimate, there will be subheads. We call each subhead with an alphabet. A is alphabet, which indicates preliminaries. Preliminary. This preliminary indicates what? Investigation and site survey. Investigation and site survey. These two comes here in A, preliminary. Similarly, there will be B, lands. How much land is needed? Land acquisition. For big projects, we need lot of land. And R&R, rehabilitation and resettlement of the affected people who are already residing on the location where you are proposing project. So you need to displace them to other locations and give them all the amenities. So that is nothing but R&R. So this is the amount of land needed. So all these are the components of your estimate only. Preliminary means site investigation, site survey you need to do for that work, and in that location you need to evacuate all the people who are already residing. You need to evacuate them and make the place ready for construction activities. That is why you need to acquire that land. So that also you need to pay some money for that. C, that is works. So whatever the works present in your estimate, so these are not the works. This is the works. This is works. That means if you are constructing a reservoir, construction of earthen embankment, okay, construction of structures, construction of bridges, construction of falls. Again in C, generally C will take only work. Sometimes there are other subheads. Sometimes there are other subheads also. See, D will be given for bridges. So in your project, if there are more bridges, then we will separate this B, bridges. E, falls. When there are any falls, that means when you are constructing any drop fall kind of thing, then you need to categorize this in E. So likewise, you will be having different subheads, but the basic broad subhead will be: one is the preliminary, which is investigation and site survey. Before commencing of work, we need to know whether that land is suitable for construction or not, whether the site suitability. For understanding the site suitability for proposing any project, it may be a road project, it may be a reservoir, it may be anything, it may be an airport, anything. You need to do a preliminary survey whether that site is suitable for the purpose intended or not. That is a preliminary survey. Once that preliminary survey is over, so doing preliminary survey also you need to pay some money. Without money, how can we complete a preliminary survey? So preliminary survey also needs some amount. So that is why, so we need to keep some amount for the preliminary survey purpose also. And then once you notified the land, once you found a suitable site for the construction of your project, the immediate work which you need to do is, before doing construction, you need to acquire that land, right? You need to acquire that land. How you acquire that land? If it is a government land, then it is okay. If it is a private land, then you need to acquire it by paying some money. Here also money is needed. For acquiring the land, money is needed. So that is why. So how much land you need to acquire? How much amount you need to keep for acquisition of the land? That is again a but expenditure we need to put on that project. And once the land acquisition over, site survey is over, the next thing is you will work on that land. You will work on that land. So during working, there will be two costs. One is direct cost and there will be indirect cost. Direct cost means whatever the cost you are putting for the purpose of execution of the work. If you are constructing a road, if you are constructing a road, then how much embankment is needed, what is the granular subbase, the amount you are keeping for excavation, embankment, GSB, wearing coat, bitumen mix. So all these things are direct investments which you are putting directly on the work. But during this work, for execution of work, you need a supervisor, you need an office, okay, you need an establishment, okay, you need an attender, you need a supervisor, you need an engineer. So all these persons not doing directly the work, they whatever the expenditure keeping on them or indirect expenditure, because the direct expenditure is expenditure by on which you are directly putting it on the work. That is direct expenditure. Indirect expenditure means which you are putting on something else but to take care of the work. That is indirect expenditure. So likewise, so land cost, preliminary survey cost, and direct expenses, indirect expenses, and some unforeseen expenditure will be there. Okay, so preliminary land and works, cost of work, and unforeseen expenditure, and lump sum expenditure. Lump sum, what is meant by lump sum expenditure? I will tell you. I will tell you one by one. Once we complete this one, we will go and discuss what are the different terms which we have discussed here in a detailed way. Okay. Now this is the detailed project report. So in detailed project report, you need to put starting to ending of that money, how you got that cost of the project. So everything you need to explain. Everything you need to explain in the detailed project report. Detailed project report. Okay. Now I have told you what is meant by lump sum. I have told you here lump sum. I use lump sum. What is meant by lump sum? What is meant by lump sum? See, lump sum means, for example, sometimes when you are doing any project estimate, some items you may not did it in your previous experience. So that is a completely new term. That is a completely new term where you don't know any data about it. Okay. And for example, if you want to install a Xerox machine in your office, in your site office, you want to put a Xerox machine, or else you want to put a generator. If you want to put a generator in it, you can't estimate the generator by taking all the components of the generator one by one. Will you do like that? Will you do like that? If you want to estimate a generator, you will open the generator, you will see what are the different nuts, what are the different bolts in it, how many bolts are there, how many nuts are there. Will you take the estimate like this? Or else you will do like this, like you will collect quotations from 3 competitive players in the market, and whoever is quoting lesser price, from there you will procure the machine, from there you will procure the generator. Now how you do this? Whether you do it by opening the generator, by looking at the generator drawing, by looking at the generator plan at section elevation, by looking at the rates of the each part of the generator, will you do like this? How much time you will take if you do like this as a civil engineer? You are a civil engineer. If you want to estimate for a generator, how much time you will take for understanding the generator components and understanding the number of components and rates of the generator components? Is it possible for a civil engineer to make a detailed estimate of a generator. Rather, what we do, we will take a quotation, a comparative quotation from 3 competitive bidders, and we will choose the least, whoever quoted the least price, we will take the generator from them. So this is one way. So where we need to prepare a detailed estimate, we will prepare there, but not at all the locations the detailed estimate is needed. So that means here what I am doing, I am not making any detailed estimate. I am taking a lump sum figure. I'm taking a lump sum figure. A lump sum figure means it will not have a detailed estimate. It is a rough figure. That is lump sum figure. Okay. So while preparing an estimate, it is not possible to work out in detail in case of pretty things. Okay. See, this is the item. This item. The items. The items where detailed estimates. Detailed estimates. Detailed estimates cannot be worked out, and also of less importance, we prefer to take a rough figure of cost, rough figure of value of that component, Example: a generator, inverter, and a Xerox machine, photocopy machine, photocopier, etc. So these are some examples where you don't go for a detailed estimate, you just take it as received by quotation. Okay. So this is nothing but a lump sum. Is nothing but lump sum. Meaning of the lump sum. So this is for this lecture. We will discuss in detail about the estimation costing, very crispy, very specific, and which is important for the examination. In that way, we will prepare this subject. Okay, if you are having any doubts, please use the SIS Plus doubt clarification portal. Thank you so much.